Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak, number 109. Thank you guys for watching tonight and being here with us. Let's see, we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Well, actually, we don't have a whole lot, but I bet you we make this last. I'm gonna bet you we make this last tonight because we always manage to do that for some reason. Anything going on?
We do best.
Yeah. Anything going on this week that you guys been doing that's worthy of putting on here?
I finally found a link to purchase a microphone that is not going to be back ordered. So, hey, fingers crossed.
Or driving an hour and a half and it's not there when they said it was.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. Let's remind me about that.
Of course, that's what I'm here for, man.
It was more like an hour and 50 minutes. Oh boy!
I love this. Everybody in the chat's like, "Audio's good. Audio's good." They expected the audio to be bad. You know.
That's right. Yes.
That's my audio sound.
Yeah, we got these guys trained now.
Well, to be fair, I asked, "How's the audio?"
Oh, sure.
Did you?
So it's Jay to blame.
Oh, Jay. Yep. All right. All right, guys.
How you doing, Dana?
I got my flooring and painting done in my office this week.
Yay!
Yeah. Ooh. Now I got to figure out how to get internet in there.
Well, at least you have internet.
Cable.
At least you have internet. Somebody didn't pay his bill and doesn't have internet.
No, all right.
I'm messing with him. He's not here, so.
Gee, I guess who could we be talking about?
I have no idea.
Grudy? No.
I haven't done anything worth mentioning. Nothing whatsoever.
Did you clean your office?
Nope.
You're supposed to say yes.
No, I actually didn't even make an attempt.
No, in fact,
I
send Jay 2 laptops, and what does he do? He works on his printer all the last 2 days, you know. He begged me to send them as fast as I possibly could, so I did. I sent them as fast as I possibly could.
You're supposed to keep them in a box in your office and saying, well, I didn't see the UPS truck come by this week. We'll try again next week.
No, I have the tracking. I could say, nope, it was delivered. Why is it not there?
I got an iPhone 12.
Ooh.
Fancy you.
Is that the little one?
How do you like it so far?
One, it's the mini one, and it's the first phone upgrade I've had since the 7, so it's been a few years.
Is it smaller than your old one, or?
Yeah, it's the same size.
Oh, okay.
Bigger, more screen real estate, but the phone itself is pretty much the same size as the 7.
How much snappier is it?
It's a lot snappier, and the camera is so much better. That's really the main motivation. I didn't have any real speed issues with the 7, but this is definitely way snappier. But yeah, it's the improvement in the camera.
Does that one have the? Oh, go ahead.
That makes me look forward to when I upgrade mine, because I still have a 6S, and every time I take a picture, I'm like, man, that looks really good. So if I go to an 11 or 12, I'll be like.
Well, Bruce, does yours have the 3 cameras or just the 2? I think the mini
just the two. Just the
okay.
2. Yeah.
All right.
It does incredible wide angle, but the thing that I really like about it that I use a lot is its close-up stuff. It's kind of, it's not really macro, but it's very close photography is really, really good. So that's pleasing. And having a zoom, which of course I didn't have on the 7. I had no zoom.
Yep, it's got the camera zoom. Well, actually, yours doesn't have the actual.
It's got 2 times zoom, I think.
Yeah,
2 times optical, and then up to, I think it's like 5 times digital. But it's twice what the other one had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And did you go for that 512 gigabyte?
I went for the 256. I think the mini only goes up to 256 from memory.
Oh, okay.
But again, the one I had before was 128, so doubling the capacity will be good.
See, that still blows my mind, because this is 64 and I've never ever filled it.
That's because you don't. That's because Dana doesn't do anything.
Stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
When I filmed that bonfire video, that did pretty much fill it up, but I got it off there right away, so that's an exception.
Yeah, I'm tempted, Bruce, from how you're going with that. So keep us updated, because I have an 8 here and I'm itching.
Well, I mean, look, so far so good. I mean, we'll see when it comes time to change the battery, which of course will inevitably happen. But the other big thing with this is this is 5G, and of course this is my first experience with 5G. I've always felt that 5G was totally unnecessary, because 4G has always been plenty fast for me. But
until you see the speeds, right?
I haven't really done anything to utilize it, but yeah, I mean, I'm getting around about 700 megabits a second down on 5G, which is way more than the fiber connection to the house I have here, which is quite extraordinary. So anyhow, but yeah, no big deal so far with that.
Well, the only problem with to get that speed, you have to be pretty darn close to the tower to do that. If you're,
I can see it from my backyard.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're far enough away, you're not going to get those speeds.
Yeah. I'm very close to the tower.
Will we get a weekly update, Bruce, on your phone adventures then?
Oh, sure, if you like.
we need you to use that new front-facing camera and do some vlogs. Hey guys, it's Bruce.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on. Button. Let's go ahead and move on to our news here. First up on the news is the first one we got is M1 Mac users are reporting excessive SSD wear. Yeah. So in Mac Rumors, there's an article. Somebody wants to post that link there. That the SSDs have been actually being used a lot faster than normal. Now, a lot of people are saying, the stuff I've been reading has been saying, because it's the 8 gigabyte, minimum that they put in there, that you're going to have a bigger swap file in there. Of course, it's going to start reading and writing a lot to the SSD.
Who else is going to post the link?
I'm going to do it. Here, I'll give you some.
I did it first.
All right.
There we go.
So
we are professionals.
Come on, Mike. You got to post the link.
So, but here's my thinking on this though, is that the SSD is soldered to this thing. So if you wear out your SSD prematurely, how do you fix it?
Apple Care.
No,
that's the point.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is that there's a whole discussion that was going on. I haven't checked in a day or two, I think. But a whole discussion on Facebook, in low-end Mac of all places, where people are defending Apple and say, oh, dude, if you read, it's only 1% in 2 months.
No,
so that means theoretically it can last 8 years and blah, blah. I said, dude, you're in low-end Mac. 10 years from now, when we want to buy this thing, and the SSD is complete shit, what are we going to do with it? This is not acceptable wear levels, even for a brand new computer.
I think there must be some hardware or software bug that is causing this. This is obviously not something that...
I feel like this is something that's going to get rectified. This is
better,
very
faster.
new. I mean, this is all still very new for Apple. I mean, I think, they've clearly got bugs to iron out, and this is one of the reasons why we don't buy these things right away.
Yeah, I mean, what is the machine,
I think
100 days old, So.
The file system, the APFS, that does a lot more, just the time it keeps on file system changes. It's down to the nanosecond now. So the file system itself already does a lot more in the background than HFS ever did, without any interaction from the user. So I'm sure that doesn't help.
Just be glad it's not an ultra wide SCSI drive. Otherwise, you hear it on vibrating your desk.
Like our startup thing there, where
exactly. It would be that times 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm just writing the swap file.
Well, I mean, here's the thing though: is Apple should have really went with a replaceable SSD drive in that thing. I mean, you could put it in
regardless.
Yeah, you could put a blade SSD in there, and it'd still be just as thin. I don't see.
Well, yeah, with the size of these small boards, there's no excuse, because we've seen teardowns of the Mini. There's space in there.
Yeah,
tons of space in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the speed is not really a good excuse to go. Yes, you solder it on the board. It will be a little bit faster because you're not dealing with.
But you're talking about storage.
How much? Yeah, how much faster does it need to be to sacrifice repairability?
I think I'm gonna share this link, and
let's all share it.
No. We should all do it right now. I'm sharing the Apple product feedback page for the Mac Mini. Everybody in the chat, fill this out right now and just say removable SSD. Just there. Let's just send a message to Apple.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then share that to
all
all your
1 second.
friends and to their friends and to their friends, and we'll just do a pyramid
Yep.
scheme here.
I'm doing it right now.
I mean, just like removable SSD, please. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is when does Apple actually listen to its customers?
They actually, now this all may be smoke and mirrors, but a lot of the times in the keynotes they'll say our most user requested feedback was blah, and then they do that.
I
But
think-
now who knows? Like I said, if it's actually that.
I think the last time they actually listened to the users was the butterfly keyboard issue, because they kind of backtracked on that, because I think they knew they effed up, and it was like, let's go back and rethink this again.
I'm even going as far to say make the memory upgradable too. Now I know that's silly, but
That ain't going to happen because
No.
that's part of the chip.
That's part of the chip. And now
Yeah.
the memory
But
I
there's no
can
excuse for the SSD not being replaceable.
exactly
Yeah.
because didn't they even take off the little JTAG where you can actually, if you had a problem with it, where you could suck the data off of it before you got a new one, and you could put the new data back on, right? Remember that, Jay?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
they took those off, so that was no longer an option anymore. So
I think it only lasted about a year before they axed it.
yeah. So I mean,
I just filled out the form. The hashtag right to repair. Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna throw yours in the trash, Jay. Yeah.
Yep. Whatever I can do to piss off at.
But I
Let's see,
mean,
what the
not
rest-
just
oh,
right to
that's
repair, but to be honest
Tiger.
with you, having an SSD that's replaceable is something that every computer should have. Storage should be replaceable. I mean, I can understand the memory because it's part of the chip. That's not a problem. You get what because they've been soldering on the memory for forever now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean the 2018 Mini had the slots. They finally put that in, but
Well, having...
I sorry.
Go ahead, Steve. I thought you were done.
No, I'm just saying, like Greg is saying, that having the SSD removable would resolve the issue that people are currently experiencing, because then Apple doesn't have to replace the whole machine. But I will give them some slack here, because it is the first revision of this model.
I said that.
So who knows what
Yeah,
their
but
true plans are, because
Having
they
a
were
computer with a non-replaceable SSD is like having a car where you can't replace the brake pads.
yeah, I fully agree.
It's what we call in the auto industry. It's called a wear item. They don't last forever. Memory, yeah. Processors, yeah. That stuff truthfully can last for decades.
Yeah.
Hard drives and SSDs don't.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I
I
think
don't
it's
care what kind of machine it is. It should be replaceable.
no, it
Yeah.
totally should.
And
I'm-
probably it's just a stupid software bug, and it probably is affecting this many people. But
Yeah, I mean, have a freaking latch on the back. I don't care how it looks. Just put an SSD in there. Yep, there you go. Close the latch. So, yeah, I think we're all in agreement there.
yeah, I think we're all in agreement, and I think that's something Apple really needs to look at. And I think if they did that, it would resolve a lot of these problems. But to
I
be
like what
honest with
Trina's saying.
be honest with you, I don't think they're going to do that, because they even went with the Intel iMacs. Remember, they went to the SSD option with guess what? The SSD soldered to the board, and that thing has tons of space inside it to put even a regular SATA SSD in there. So
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm not holding my breath, but it would be great if they actually
yeah.
did.
All right, next one. There's a rumor going out, the return of the candy-colored iMacs. I know Steve's going to like that, because you love the
Because
candy-colored.
I put the link in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That means 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we're all going to be looking to collect our favorite colors. I mean, I put this in here. I mean, it's obviously this rumor guy on Mac Rumors apparently has a track record that's hit or miss. But thank you, Jay, for putting the link in there. And so you have
Mike.
this, and my everybody put the link in.
Yeah, somebody just cut it out of the notes and put it in the.
And so the idea is there's a mock-up on the page of these pastel colored Macs, sort of looking like the iPhones or whatever. I'm all
terrible.
I'm all for colors. I don't like pastel colors so much. I would like to see them do something other than space gray. I could really care less about the colors. I just think it would be a nice little thing for them to do. But yeah, hey, you want to put a removable SSD in there? I'll take that hours any day of the week.
I don't know. I kind of like the space gray. I think it looks pretty nice.
Oh yeah, I could care. I mean, you're going to be looking at the front of the machine.
I like the
screen.
blue, but I'm not into the pastel thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be looking at the front of the screen. You're going to be seeing a small edge around the thing, and the rest of it, you're not going to be looking at the back of the machine unless you have a freaking mirror behind your desk. So I'm not really like a huge fan of like the colors, but I mean, if it's going to mimic the old iMac, sure, why not?
Well, I'm not surprised in the least. I mean, all that Apple has been doing since Steve Jobs died, and even a little bit before Steve Jobs died, is going back to old concepts, because they have not a shred of original thought in them anymore. So going back to colors is a natural step for Apple. Like, what can we do to change the iMac? Nothing, boss. We're not smart enough or clever enough to figure out what innovation is. Well, give it a damn color.
I want mine with racing stripes.
Well, to be perfect.
Hey, I love that.
What would you really change about the iMac? I mean,
everyone always complains about the freaking chin that the iMac has. I could care less. I could absolutely care less.
Yeah.
People keep saying, oh, when is the Apple TV going to get updated? When is this going to get updated? Oh, it's been a year since this was updated. If it doesn't need an update, why is everybody crying that they want an update? Just because it looks different?
Don't give me a design. Give me hardware upgrades rather than a new design.
Well, I think, Jay, the problem with people is that they see the iPhone gets an update once a year, and they expect everything else in Apple to do once a year updates. And to be honest with you,
people focus too much about the way stuff looks on the outside. I don't care what iMac looks like. I care that it has more than one fan that does more than 2700 RPM. I care about specs. I care about ports. I don't give a crap about the color or,
Yeah.
But I guess that's the only way people can differentiate themselves from others. Like, oh, mine has the notch in the top for the camera. That might happen at some point. That means I have the latest and greatest, and you're just a peasant.
Well, look at it this way.
However it works.
If you want a colored iMac, just buy one and paint it yourself. I mean, there you go.
Yeah, send it to Steve. He's all about painting Macs.
Yeah, I have a color iPhone. Does that count?
Yeah.
That's my past life, Jay.
Colors.
All right, so last news item is happy 66th birthday to Steve Jobs for Wednesday. Yesterday would have been his 66th birthday.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
happy birthday.
He for all the things that people give him crap for, he really did, really streamline the product line. And I think without doing that, Apple would not exist today.
Yeah.
They were selling printers and scanners and all sorts of weird things. And I like all their kooky products and things like that from a historical perspective. But yeah, I mean they I don't think would have survived if it wasn't with Next's partnership and all that stuff.
Oh no,
I would love to see Jobs, if he was alive today. Let's say that he didn't die, but he left Apple and he came back, and he would walk into an Apple store and say, "Okay, 25 different watch models, 15 different laptops." It doesn't. Okay, let's scrap 90% of this and go back to basic. I would be so happy.
I mean, the reason they scrapped it all is because they weren't financially doing well. But I think the difference is now people are stupid and they buy all the different watch bands. So they want to collect them all.
They were hemorrhaging money.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're allowed to have a little bit of a blurred product line, but it is a little excessive in some areas.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with you on that. And to be honest, the only bad thing about his legacy is that he actually died on my birthday.
You did it. It was all your fault.
It was my fault. My birthday,
Yep.
That was your wish. You blew out the candles. And...
I may have told this story before. I've told it a million times, probably on here before. But I had a Mac Classic, and it was hooked up in my basement, and I would use it from time to time, just turn it on and play around with software and things. He died, whatever day in October it was. The day before, I was using it.
October 5th.
October 5th.
That's how I know.
So on the 4th, I was using this Mac Classic. On the 5th, I went to boot it and got the help me screen. So
It
I
was
opened
the
the thing up,
spirit of
and
Steve.
I opened it up, and the battery had exploded everywhere. And just in that 24 hours, it was like, or maybe when I turned it on, it blew that last connection, and the poor thing never ran again. It was ruined.
That was Steve
Steve's
Jobs.
last ounce of strength was like, that classic always was a little funny to me.
So it died the same day as Steve. I was going to do like the little, the hello.
Yeah.
Script. I was going to do a goodbye, put it on Facebook and all that stuff. And
it died.
Never got to do it.
Just while we're sort of talking about Jobs, for anyone who's watching, if you haven't seen it, check out the Steve Jobs The Lost Interview. I mean, you'll find it on iTunes, and it was an interview recorded by Bob Cringely, Robert X. Cringely, for the whatever that show was called. I can't remember that sort of 3-part series. Revenge of the Nerds? No, Revenge of the Triumph of the Nerds.
Triumph of the Nerds. Yeah.
Yes.
And that interview was sort of lost and then found again on a VHS tape and remastered and everything. And it's a really interesting insight into him. He didn't give a lot of interviews, and this is quite a lengthy interview, and he's asked about all sorts of things, and you get to see the arrogance, you get to see the genius, you get to see the charisma. It's at a time when he was doing Next, I think, so it predates his return to Apple, and he, of course, did mature a lot from then.
95, I think it was.
Yeah, but it's if you haven't seen it, it's a fantastic. I mean, it's just, for me, the fact that it's basically whatever it is, an hour-long interview. It's riveting the whole way. I just really, really good. So check it out if you haven't seen it.
I've seen a few minutes of it, and when this came out, I think it was 2011, 2012, something like that. I remember watching it, and I was like, wow, like I've never seen any of this, because I think that Triumph of the Nerds, they had little segments, but they didn't have nearly any of this.
Yeah.
So, and from the story I heard is there was a master tape of it was lost in shipping, and they thought it was completely lost, but somebody had a VHS copy of it. And so they did what the best they can. Obviously, the video quality is not as good as the master tape, but it's a good thing that exists at all.
Yeah, that's right.
So there were 2 big movies that were done in the years after Steve passed, and one of them starred Ashton Kutcher, and one of them starred Michael Fassbender. The Fassbender movie is awful, but the other one is fantastic.
Yes.
I hate all the shoehorns in the Fassbender movie, because I actually went to the theater to see that because I had a free movie ticket and I dragged my wife along, and they had they're doing something. And the guy who plays somebody gives him a Newton or whatever, which would never have happened in that timeline or whatever. But they give him a Newton, and the first thing he's like, "Oh no, you wouldn't use your stylus. You'd be all using your fingers." So I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, that's exactly how that would have went down." Yeah, come on. And then he's like talking to his daughter on the roof, and he's like, "No, you're gonna have 1,000 songs in your pocket." And I'm like, "No, stop! Like, just like stop shoehorning all these like marketing things into this movie."
Yeah,
I mean the danger with all of these sorts of kind of reenactments is that all they ever show you, in particular when they're portraying Jobs, all they ever show you are the stories you hear about these horrible things to people, which I'm sure do exist. They don't show the way people would rally behind him, because he had so much charisma and he would drive people, and and as one person once said about him, he is someone that I absolutely love and completely hate all at the same time. And of course another movie is what was that silly one with Noah
Pirates of Silicon Valley.
That's my favorite.
Silicon Valley.
That's actually
as well.
Fantastic movie.
But that one actually ends too premature.
Early.
That's the reason why I like the Ashton Kutcher one, is because it actually has him coming back to Apple.
Well, that's right. I mean, the thing was that the Pirates of Silicon Valley was made at a time when the world thought Apple was gone.
Yeah.
And so this idea of him, they thought that it was just going to get gobbled up into Microsoft. That's virtually what they were saying at the end of that movie, was that Apple was just going to get gobbled up into Microsoft, which of course wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, so this says Pirates of Silicon Valley ends in 1997. It was made in 99. So it was released right after the iMac came out. So I mean, it's really funny the way it
What?
ends, because it actually ends you wanting more. You want to hear more of the story.
Mm.
And
Hold
it
on
sort
a
of does
second.
one of these things where it shows the people and everything. So
Madeline got yelled at by Steve
yeah,
Jobs.
let's put her in. Let's drop it. Come on, Madeline. Can you for 20 minutes? Let's talk about this.
We'll have to get her on our next. We'll actually make that a next topic actually, and
Do
get
it
Madeline
now.
on here. No. We'll-
Screaming at Madeline. I like that topic. Let's do it.
She'll scream back at us.
Yeah.
She's definitely going to have to tell that story one time on here.
Yeah, you can't just say that in live chat and expect nothing to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even Ed Retrotech said, you got to share this story when you join Mac Yak again. See? So your fans, our fans want you back on, Madeline. So guess what?
The only thing I don't like about Pirates of Silicon Valley, I just remembered it by looking at the Wikipedia page. The guy they got to play Steve Wozniak looks nothing like him.
No.
Yeah,
Absolutely nothing.
Joey Slotnick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made up for it with the guy that looks like Steve Jobs.
Yeah, and the Bill
Yeah.
Gates character looks pretty good.
Oh, yeah. That's Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael
Yeah.
Hall,
And
He
if
was
you're
perfect.
If you're a Futurama fan, John DiMaggio, who's the voice of Bender, plays what's his face? The
Balmer?
Microsoft guy.
Balmer.
Balmer. Yeah, Steve Ballmer.
Ballmer, yeah,
so-
because if I remember rightly, I could be wrong, but I thought the portrayal of Balmer was
Oh,
quite
that
good.
was
Yes.
that was right
Yeah,
on
he's,
money
he's
too.
one of the best parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it again. I haven't watched it since I was stuck on a plane. It was the only movie on my iPod, so I watched it.
DiMaggio is good at playing the bombastic, larger-than-life personality. Yeah.
We'll do a watch party after Mac Yak. We'll all watch it.
I'll fall asleep.
You could do that on Discord too. Do a watch party. So we should
I
do
can
that.
hear
one
the
time.
audio and bandwidth issues from here.
Discord's video is awful.
Yeah, we'd have to have the Nitro.
I think I'd prefer the resolution of my video iPod.
Yeah. So hey, Madeline said next week. So guess what?
Excellent.
We got a show already planned out for next week. There we go.
Yep, 90 minutes of Matt. Well, we'll do an intro for 2 minutes, and then it's her
So-
talking the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Us eating popcorn.
Bruce, what is CBD? Because when I hear those letters, I think of something entirely different, probably.
Central Business District.
Okay.
So she's in Sydney City, in the main. So she's that way. That way.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, which is that way? Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else on that before we move on?
We haven't even gotten to the topics yet.
I know.
This is just the news.
Well, here's our first topic of the evening here, and everyone knows we really bash Apple pretty good on this show, especially Mac Yak. But why do we still use their products if we bash them so much? I mean, what do we hate about Apple? What do we love about Apple?
And this
We've
is a
already
topic
said,
that's
we've already
come
said
up.
what we hate. This is about what we like or love.
Well, no, we can still. There's other things we hate about Apple sometimes.
We just
too.
rattled off a whole bunch of stuff. in
and
the
there's a
last
whole lot
20
more.
minutes. There is, yeah, but we hardly ever talk about what we really still like about them. And if there's
I
anything
feel
that we
that
still
I'm no
love
longer. I feel that I'm no longer qualified because I have kind of kept my distance from current Apple for the last few years. Like I didn't even want to go to Mojave, but there were benefits when it came to OpenCore and hardware encoding for Final Cut Pro, so I did. If it wasn't for that, I'd still be on High Sierra and be perfectly happy there. I haven't done Catalina, never even tested it in a virtual machine, never even touched Big Sur, not even in a virtual machine, and I am now a few years behind on the current Apple ecosystem. So I don't know about the bugs. I don't know what's great about it. So I'm kind of happy where I'm at.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same with me too. My most recent Mac computer is 2012 Mini. But I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, stuff that's come out in the last 5 years. So mobile devices, I use that. I use their latest software. Things that I like about Apple, I do still like OS X. I think it's still a superior operating system. It feels better to use. I think I go and I work on my Windows machine, and I'm just like, ugh. Yeah, it's like a giant tablet, kind of, as far as the interface. But
I just don't like that. Oh, go ahead.
And I just want to say, I really enjoy using OS 10 still to this day. I've always enjoyed using Mac OS, even in the 90s when you had unimplemented trap errors and error type 1 and,
random
stuff
bombs
that nobody could freaking explain. Random bombs, yeah. It was kind of fun to troubleshoot and figure out what was wrong there. But then, as time goes on, you get more and more used to things that just work, as they say, just work. So now I think if I had to deal with that many OS errors, I would just throw my computer out the window.
I'll give you a perfect example of the Windows world. So as Mike knows, I was reformatting a PC for a relative, and so I put Windows 7 on there. And there's a Windows 7 feature where you could invite someone to do a remote desktop thing to help you out if you had problems. So I was just giving that a test go. So when I give it back to this person, and I expected the software to just work. Well, it does not. So perfect example of this in the Windows world. You open the remote desktop thing and it says like, oh, send invitation via email. And there's a option that says send it using email client on my system. Well, if you use the Windows Mail email client with a Microsoft Windows email address, that box is still grayed out because it's not smart enough to detect that you have an email account using the built-in stuff that the OS. I mean, come on. There's workarounds, but it was like that is a perfect example. I was just like, yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, my Apple experience started probably about 10 years ago when I first got my first iPhone. I got the 3G. Was my very first one, which is basically the second version of iPhone. And then I decided I'm going to get a MacBook. So I got a MacBook Air. I know Jay doesn't like these, but that was my first Mac, modern Mac. And once I tried it, I had Snow Leopard on there. That was the first operating system I used on it, the newest one. And oh man, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is way better than Windows, because back then it was Windows 7 was the big OS at the time. But to be honest with you, I was blown away, and then that's what got me down this path of Apple stuff. I'm like, I just despise Windows.
You did come in at a good time, though. I mean, imagine your first car being a Maserati. You'll never go back to Kia or whatever. But if you come in. If you were a new Apple user, and you came in with Lion or something, that's a whole different taste it leaves in your mouth. So you definitely came in at the right time with Snow Leopard being nice and polished, and Intel switch already happened. So not a bad time.
And that's what I said. I mean, it just worked, and I just loved that my iPhone connected right to it, and I was able to do the updates, because back then you had to do everything wired. There was no over-the-air updates for your iPhone. So if you did an update, you had to either have iTunes on your Windows or an Apple, So, and it was just so much easier on a Mac than it was on a Windows machine.
Yeah.
I like that I'm able to use a 9-year-old computer as my daily driver.
I'm using an 11-year-old computer.
Right. I mean, my 1,1 I still use as a Plex server. So how old is that? What's that? 15, 16 years old?
Yeah. 2006.
So, but, I can't speak to whether today's systems are going to be that long-lived. But, I mean, and I think one of the things I tried to think of something that I still love about Apple, and I can't really think of anything, but
because he's looking at something.
What I used to absolutely love was that they were considered, for the longest time, the underdog. They were considered, you had Macs in the education space all through the 80s and 90s, but then they were really not taken seriously as a business level computer until the mid to late 90s, and even that took a while to catch on. I don't think they ever lost that underdog, label until the conversion to Intel.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
because they were the alternative. You needed to run alternative software for them and all this stuff. And I think the Intel switch really gave them a shot in the arm with businesses and stuff, and that really helped them out. I mean, what I really like about the Mac is the whole operating system. I mean, they used to, around the days of Tiger and before that, used to be the digital hub, because your Mac was the digital hub of everything. You put your digital camera photos on it, your videos and everything. And that's sort of how I still use my machine. All the footage I take with my camera ends up on the machine or an iCloud or whatever. And by and large, things usually just work, especially if you're not upgrading your machine like some of us tend to do, where you introduce bugs and silly things happen. But I can expect a machine to work and know the limitations and what I can push it to without having a problem. I mean, I have an Xserve downstairs that's a 2005 model. I have a Mac Mini downstairs that's a 2005 model also. And those things stay on. They don't need constant reboots or anything. I can rely on them. Judging by any, I mean, besides any hardware faults that any machine is susceptible to, the operating system is pretty rock solid until they screw up with Lion or any of these weird OS releases once in a while. But by and large, I'm very satisfied with it. And the operating system is what keeps me here. I could care less what the hardware looks like or how slick it is or what chips they're using. The OS is what I'm stuck here for. And the integration with what my phone is, like iOS, it just strengthens that more.
Yep. I'm surprised Bruce isn't corrected. Someone is Bondi. Or
Who
Bondi.
said Bondi?
No,
Sorry, I was focused on...
They said Bindi.
Mike stuttering.
Brandon goes Bindi Blue.
Bindi Blue. Yeah.
Bindi. Yeah.
Fine. I'll correct people if it's spoken.
I think the one thing we all, or most of us, have in common is that we are happy with Apple, their hardware and software, but none of it is current.
Yes.
We all like the older stuff.
Yes.
I'm sure that people with the
M1
M1 Mac are happy with it. I read about the M1 Mac Mini and stuff, and people are amazed with the speed, and of course, but I am staying behind on an older operating system because all the newer ones are too locked down. I mean, if I want to make edits to my own system folder, I want to be able to do that. It's already tricky to do in Mojave. I can't imagine what it's like in Big Sur and Catalina.
Well,
but
look at it.
I don't like the idea of losing control of my own system. Yeah. It's my system. I want to tinker with it and tweak whatever I want, and I can't do that on the new operating system.
Well, look at this way, Jay.
And I like my 32-bit software.
Yeah, look at it this way, Jay, is that even DOS Dude isn't even coming out with a patch for Big Sur because they made it almost impossible to do this time.
Yeah.
And he has come out and said, basically there's not going to be a patch like he had for Catalina and below. So the days of using a patch are over. So, and I think it is
really the end of the line to an extent.
Well, and I think also the fact that OpenCore is now more available and it's more mainstream, that that actually has replaced the need for any patchers anymore, because now you can run the actual installers. In fact, you don't even need the Catalina or all the way back to High Sierra. If you want to run something on your computer without a patcher, you'd run OpenCore now. I mean, that's pretty much the way it works now. I mean, but he's also said that they've put a lot of underlying code in there now that he can't get around, and it's going to be impossible almost.
Yeah, I mean, I totally foresee, whether it's a few months from now or a year or so from now, where it's going to be, for me personally, more of a hassle to, maintain updates or hardware mods or whatever for this machine if I keep wanting to do intensive tasks like 4K video and junk like that. Not that it's not possible, but there's going to be a balancing act at some point where I'm going to have to decide what to do. And I'm not thrilled with any of the machines that are out there, but if I have to get one, I'll probably get the cheapest one possible. Bruce grew a cat.
I did grow a cat.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about this particular item? Or what about stuff we all agree we hate the new Apple because everything. Well,
I don't hate it.
I think ever since Tim Cook took over is when Apple started going downhill on the
I would have to
innovation
disagree with you on that. I mean, maybe on the innovation side, but I would have to say that a lot of things are happening in Apple now that would not have happened when Steve was there, and they are good things. They are some of the hardware changes that they've done, some of the things that they've admitted they've screwed up. Where I could totally see Jobs would not have been in that situation. Be like, oh, yep, sorry. I of course can't name them off the top of my head, but we had a discussion about this a few months or years ago, where there were some good things that we all brought to the table and were talking about. But I'm not saying it's all peaches and roses and everything. But
I mean, in all honesty, if I needed a new Mac for whatever reason, I'd buy one of the new ones, even with all the lack of upgradability and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'd be happy to invest. I mean, I can't afford one, but if for whatever reason I did need to buy one, I would.
Yeah.
I don't like. How do I say this? I don't like Apple, the company they've turned into. Just like a lot of platforms you see these days, and TV channels, and stop trying to do my thinking for me. If I think something is offensive, I won't open it. If I think something is politically incorrect, I'll stay away from it. Stop trying to tell me what I can and cannot watch, or do, or click, or buy, or download, or whatever. Just
100%
be
agree.
A provider of hardware, software, and if you want to provide some services, that is fine. Stop policing my content.
That was one of the
any
things
way,
that
shape, or form.
Steve. That was one of the things that Steve really was adamant about, was that they not get involved in causes. Just do business. Don't don't get involved in a whole bunch of other.
Well, if you remember,
that's
Steve
such a common
never
thing with big business these days.
Well, Steve never got involved with anything really. If you think about it, he didn't do charities, none of that stuff. He didn't do any philanthropy.
He didn't even do dividends, share dividends. I mean, he never did. I mean, it wasn't until Tim Cook came in that they started doing that.
Yeah, and now it's getting to the point now where they get an app on there that we just don't like the way you're doing that. We're gonna take it off. That, like Jay just said,
it goes to when I open the App Store. I don't want to get a big splash screen with all your promotional garbage, whatever political views you might subscribe to, or activist things that you support. I don't give a crap. I just want to see my updates, see what apps are trending without all your forced garbage in there. Just stop being like YouTube and all the others. Just be a provider of whatever you provide, which is hardware, software, and a service. That's it.
Yep.
But those times are gone.
Oh, I agree with you. I think they're gone. I think every company's doing that nowadays, which I think is stupid. But hey, I don't run these big companies, so.
Hey, it's done out of fear, I think. I mean, most of them, they're all answering to shareholders, the big groups of people and stuff like that. I mean, I think they're all doing it, because they're all scared of of losing position or something like that. So they're they all want to be seen to care. So
I did think of one other thing that I really still like about Apple is that they are actually focused on user and privacy. Here, I don't know, a few years ago, and most people are aware, there was some sort of terrorist act that happened in San Bernardino, California. And they confiscated the iPhone that belonged to one of the people that, made the bomb or whatever it was. And the FBI said, Apple, we need to get into this phone. And Apple said no. And Apple said, you can send it to us and we'll, get the information you need. The FBI said no.
Even they said
so. I think that I was on Apple's side in that, because as soon as you give them, even the slightest little gap to get their foot in the door, they can, if it can lead.
But you do it like you did last time.
But Dana, here's the thing though, is that they even kept telling the FBI that we cannot get into it. We designed it that way because if you design a back door into something, guess what? Every hacker on this planet is going to be trying to exploit that. So
I thought,
no,
okay, well then
Apple,
that's even better.
yeah,
If Apple can't get into it, then
they did say, here's all the iCloud, contacts.
Oh yeah, that they
stuff.
had.
That must be what I'm thinking.
And so they were quite willing to be like, look, we're reasonable. Here's the information that's most relevant to you.
But we can't get on the phone.
We're not going to build tools to get into our own devices because that opens up this whole box of.
If I remember rightly, didn't they get someone to hack into it anyway?
Yeah, they have this. They had this device, and then Apple did some software updates that bricked it, and they've been just going tit for tat.
Yeah,
well, it's funny because the device that ended up breaking the iPhone encryption and all that is the same device that we used back at the time in the Apple stores to transfer your data. If you came in to buy a new phone, we'd hook it up to, what was it called, Celebrite?
Yeah, yep.
Hook it up to a machine, transfer all your stuff over, and that same company was able to really mess with the phone and do all kinds of nefarious stuff with it.
I think one of the.
So it was another company that actually cracked it, not Apple.
No, that's what I said. Celebrate.
Black box or gray box, whatever it was called.
I was behind them when they stood their ground on that. I said,
"Oh, I was too."
Has got to trump this in this case because, I mean, like I said, as soon as you give the government the way, or anybody the way to get into something like that, some kind of a backdoor, some kind of a crack, it's going to get
Well, you know, the second they make that tool, even if it's internally, someone's going to download it. It's going to get shared somewhere, and then there's no ending it. I mean, it's like, I'm going to make this key that could unlock any door. Oops, somebody made a copy of it, and you cannot stop it.
Yeah.
Well, while I trust Apple more than most other companies when it comes to my privacy and security, I mean, they're obviously not perfect.
No.
I mean, when they went to Big Sur,
shining armor.
They changed the networking. I think it was the networking framework in the operating system, which allowed macOS software updates and App Store updates, I believe, to bypass firewalls and VPNs. Nothing you could do about it. And they didn't fix that until a week ago with the latest updates. So,
Well, at least they fixed it.
Yeah, after enough pushback. Because Apple being Apple and Apple being a public company, just like other companies, they don't give a crap until they get called out on it.
Well, that's why you have to submit the feedback forms and be vocal and,
Well, the problem is that unless it gets published out in the open there, that's...
Yeah, I mean public exposure in the news. Because if they know
and
this stuff is going on.
By a bunch of people talking like us, and it turns into a Facebook group, it turns into a petition, it turns into whatever, and some of these things get legs sometimes, so you never know. So
So we got anything else on this topic, or are we ready to move on?
Classic
that covers it.
Huh?
I think we covers it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So talking about the little FBI thing, but we just found out that I guess 30,000 Macs got infected with a malware. 40K Macs infected by a previously undiscovered malware, which actually hasn't been activated yet, but they said that it is very dangerous.
This is different from the one that we talked about last week.
Yes, this is
Well,
different.
I will confess to having not read this one yet. How dangerous is it?
It's not.
It's not.
They don't know. It hasn't
right
done
now.
anything
It hasn't
yet.
done anything
Well,
yet.
I put this in the show
dangerous.
notes. I put this in the show notes because I want to talk about a few different things here. First, this happens all the time. Today, it's this one that's being found. There's 20 others that have not yet been found, but that are already out there. It happens all the time. Every year, there's at least 2 or 3. Some get into the news, some don't. But this happens all the time. And it's really a good example for people that say, oh, I've never installed a virus scanner and I've never had a problem. This is one of those examples where unless you do a scan, you're never going to have a problem because this software lies dormant on your system. In this case, the malware hasn't done anything yet. It reaches out to a command and control server, but it hasn't had any instructions yet to activate and do something. There are plenty of them out there that do something, like log your keystrokes, take snapshots of your webcam, keep a log of websites you visit, and silently upload it to whatever server they're connected to. And you'll never have a problem. Your Mac doesn't slow down. Your stuff is not getting encrypted like ransomware. This can go on for years. And when people say, "Oh, I've never done a virus scan and I've never had a problem," it's like, you don't know. You can stick your head in the sand and pretend Macs don't get malware. They do. They always have, and they will. So, just wanted to point that out as a warning. Like, even if you don't believe that Macs don't get malware, which they do, stop being stubborn. Just download a free malware scanner like Intego has Virus Scan in the App Store. Malwarebytes has a free scanner. Just run a scan. It's not going to hurt you. It's free, doesn't cost a dime, and at least you know.
And Jay,
you have something to back up your claim that says, I've never had a problem, I've never had malware. Now you know.
I'm going to do one now just because you tell me to.
And tell the audience which ones are safe and which ones are not, because a lot of people think Malwarebytes is another, because I hear that a lot. They're like, "Oh, Malwarebytes, that's a virus. That's a virus."
No,
it's not. Malwarebytes is Malwarebytes already had a well-established name for the Windows users.
I find it in the App Store.
And a guy named Thomas Reed, he made an AppleScript-powered malware scanner a couple of years ago that got bought up. Actually, he got hired by Malwarebytes, and he is responsible for the Mac branch of the software. He's well-respected, he's well-known, and they already had an established reputation. So Malwarebytes is definitely a good way to go.
It's what I use.
But that Clean My Mac, that one...
Clean My Mac is also a good one. You're thinking of Mac Keeper.
Mac Keeper, that's it. Yeah, Mac Keeper.
And that confusion is always what causes those arguments.
Yeah, because they both advertise in very similar ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm pasting the splash screen of the Malwarebytes installer into our group chat here because I think you'd all appreciate exactly what it says on the
Is
first.
Is it going to replace the current picture there?
Yes. Ooh. There it goes. Read the first sentence there.
Yeah. Yep. Macs get infected.
Yeah.
I've always used it on the PC, never had a problem, so I'm going to install it now.
Malwarebytes doesn't check your entire system. It checks the most typical locations where malware can be found on your system. If you want to scan your entire downloads drive or your whole system, go with a virus scanner from Intego. They have a free one in the App Store called Virus Scan Plus, or I don't know. I can look it up, put it in the show notes. And they have a paid scanner as well called Virus Barrier. They have, and historically always have, the best detection rates. So if you want to be sure that you catch absolutely anything malware related for Mac and even PC, use Intego. If you want to do a quick scan just to make sure that your system doesn't have any active infections on it, use Malwarebytes. Yeah. But use one of them.
Well, even Starbuck Tech was saying the only issue he's ever had with Malwarebytes was years ago where their installation caused a memory leak.
Yeah, they're not perfect. Anyone that writes software...
Oh, Firefox had a nasty memory leak years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Chrome is a memory leak.
Chrome is a virus. What are you talking about?
Chrome is spyware, straight up spyware.
I wanted to just sort of mention this as we're talking about sort of Malwarebytes. I had a relative had a situation where they had fallen for, I guess, one of the oldest tricks in the book, and that is where you are wanting to download something, you go to a download website, and on that download website, some pop-up ads occur, or not pop-up ads, but ads occur on the page. And on the page, they are ads with a great big green download button. So you say, okay, I want to download this thing. So you click on the button to download it. You get taken to a new page. Mm-hmm. Halfway down the page is a discrete little hyperlink that you're supposed to click on. On the top of the page is a big banner ad with a great big green download button on it. You click that, and the next thing you know, you download something. And in this instance, they had downloaded something which installed into your browser and offered some sort of special
search bar
type thing.
Oh
with
God,
those sort of stuff. And
those are like a
I just
bane.
ran Malwarebytes, instantly found it, instantly got rid of it, problem solved. So,
And it's not the typical, which is, I mean, I guess it is funny. I don't know if it's funny, but to me it's funny that people still think of viruses, and you can call it a virus, you can call it malware. I typically stick with malware, but it's not this highly destructive thing that it was in the 80s, where your screen garbles up and everything kind of slides off your screen, and oh my god, panic. No, it's all about stealth now.
Your hard drive.
It's all about stealth. Malware wants to live on your system as long as possible without being detected, so it can exfiltrate the most amount of information. So you'll never know if you're infected until your bank account gets hacked, or
This is an interesting thing as well when it comes to website hacking, because I have had a couple of situations where I've had customers who have had their websites hacked. Mainly WordPress. There's a very, very common backdoor into WordPress that if you don't block it off, sort of you're extremely vulnerable. And the really interesting thing is that in the early days when people were hacking a website, what you'd do is you'd go visit the website and it would say, hacked by so-and-so, and there might be some stupid garbled stuff that comes up on the screen. Not anymore. What they're doing these days when they hack them, they edit the page to put in web advertising. Just good old-fashioned Google web advertising, where all of the views and clicks go back to them. So they are essentially monetizing your website. And this is the thing you have to remember. A lot of these, malware or hacking and everything, there is an end game. And that end game is making money somehow, whether it be putting advertising in front of you, as benign as putting advertising in front of you, or as nefarious as stealing your passwords to access your bank account. Their goals are to basically make money, not just to go, oh, look, I hacked it.
Yeah, it's not about anarchy anymore. It's all about stealth. And it's funny because there are a few branches, or whatever you want to call it, of malware that do focus on disrupting you. Mostly, or actually the only one I could currently think of is ransomware. All your files get encrypted, and there is ransomware for Macs as well. All your files get encrypted. If you want to open it, pay me an X amount of Bitcoin, and you get the key to your files back. So that's the only one that will disrupt. Is Steve talking to us, or is he?
No, I was coughing.
Okay. That's the only one that will disrupt your workflow and let you know, like, hey, I'm malware, I'm here, you're screwed.
And
everything
that
else
just
is just stealth.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead. I'm done.
That just happened to my relative's PC that I was fixing up. They had an old version of Windows on there, and the person went to log in the morning and said, your password's incorrect. I'm like, eh. And tried again. So somebody remoted in, changed the password, and was in the process of encrypting all those files. Thankfully, they called me right away. I said, turn off the computer, and then the computer turned itself back on. I said, unplug the computer. And when I got to it, I imaged the hard drive before I even turned the machine on. I plugged into my Mac, imaged the hard drive, because it was a PC, so it couldn't do anything. And then I put the hard drive back in the PC, booted it up, and did a little trick to reset the password. Got into the admin account, because there was two. There was a standard user and an admin account. Got into the admin account, and all the desktop files the files that were there were encrypted. They were just garbage, but it was all encrypted. Thankfully they didn't get to the user directory, which had the important stuff. And there was a backup. It was old, but there was one. But just forced me to be like, okay, well, we got you the SSD for Christmas, so we're updating your computer now. Better safe than sorry. Always have a freaking backup, so because you never know when that stuff's gonna strike. And you don't want to pay some loony guy for an encryption key that you may not get. I mean, it's all obviously they're in it to make money, but they could care less, I'm sure.
Yeah, the number. I mean, I know you don't really have a choice if you're an airport or a hospital, which get hit surprisingly often with ransomware. You don't have the luxury of waiting it out, usually. But if you're a regular user like us, if you ever get ransomware, just wait. Wait a few days, up to a week. Someone will crack the key and put it available online.
Yeah,
Usually always happens.
There are because I did some searching to try and see if there was any way, because there were some encrypted files that they were junk. I didn't need to decrypt them, but I was just curious. And there's a number of Kaspersky, or however you pronounce that one.
Kaspersky.
That one. The
Kaspersky.
Sure, there you go. They have one, and then there's a few others, and they actually say, like, if it doesn't work for you, send us a file. Like, we want to try and do it. So.
Yep. That's all I had. I mean, I could go on this topic for hours, so you better stop it now.
Well, tune into Jay's podcast.
Yeah. How not to be an idiot.
So the moral of the story, children, is your Mac is not as safe as you think it might be. So check it.
And back it up. Make sure all your important data is backed up.
Well, we've accent for that.
Yeah, we've had things about backing up. I think we've had a couple of shows about backing up, and I don't think we're going to that. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, as a precaution, if you get hit with ransomware and your system's all backed up, who cares?
Exactly. Laugh at them and say, I have a backup.
Yeah.
All right. Next one up on the list is the EAP game. So
Yay.
Everyone should know the rules of this, so I'm not going to go because we have a lot of EAPs and quacks in here, I see. So
I know people on Discord have been busy.
I know. I see that. So the first one tonight, and like I said, you guys type EAP or quack in the chat if you have or haven't.
Sean.
So, yeah, Sean's
already jumped the gun.
Yeah. So,
all right. I think he can eat this one.
Yeah, the first one.
I haven't even asked the question yet.
Yeah, I haven't asked it. This one comes from Trina. Can you tell just from feel that you have entered a wrong password before completing it and pressing the enter key?
Oh, yeah. EAP.
Yeah.
EAP.
And you know what always messes me up? When I know that it felt off. I know I probably messed it up. I still hit return just in case I got it, and I never did.
And then you're waiting a few seconds until it shakes. You're like, ah!
Yep, I agree with that one. All right.
There's one password that I've used for so many years.
We got one
quack. Oh, come on, Scarlett. No, don't tell me.
Scarlett lies.
You've never typed the password perfectly.
He must have like a 4-letter password or something that he doesn't have to put upper lowercase, special character.
Or he's still using System 6.
Yeah.
Did they have passwords?
Yeah.
No.
Not built in.
All right. Next one. This comes from, how do you say his name? Graham? OS Niner?
OS Niner.
Have you ever had a bit of hardware apparently fail and the fix turned out to be surprisingly simple?
Eep.
Eep. Oh, yeah. Eep.
Oh, look, it wasn't plugged in. Damn it.
Yeah, eep.
The fuse was broken.
I turned it off and back on again.
The power strip was off.
Yeah, I just basically used the ON/OFF switch.
that actually happened to just the other day. My PC, the one I use for games, I hardly touch it. So I was very surprised that it just was not booting correctly. So I just unplugged everything, let it sit for 10 minutes, plugged it all back in. I'm like, oh, it's happy. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes the issue is PEBCAC.
Yeah. Been there
all right.
before.
If nobody knows what PEBCAC is, go look it up. PEBCAK.
Yeah. All right. Next one comes from Fox_198. Have you ever bought the exact same Macintosh model more than once, excluding lemons and parts machines, getting and keeping 2 identical Blueberry iBooks, for example?
Eep.
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 May I refer to the stack of Xserves G3 blue and whites and mirror drive doors in my basement?
Now, here's the question.
Kind of a silly question
all right,
to ask a collector, isn't it?
Here's the thing. Bought or
acquired?
Or acquired, because see, a lot of the stuff I have that's the same I have not bought. So
you paid for it?
No, I didn't.
I'm not going to put
you get it from the recycle bin.
Yes. So I'm going to have to say quack on that one for me.
Well, some of us buy huge lots of like the same machine. So, you know. Like I have a guy who wants to sell me 5 G5s right now.
Yeah, I'm going to say quack on that one because I have not bought the same exact Macintosh model more than once. So,
well, you've acquired a stack of the same iPad.
When it comes to vintage machine, like I'm talking like 68K machines,
yeah,
I don't. Well, okay, I have several PowerBook 165s and 1400 CSs.
Okay,
I got those as a lot. But when it comes to anything beyond G3, I have 2 blue and white G3s. I have 2 Sawtooth G4s. I have 3 Quicksilvers and 2 G5s and 2 Cubes and
now you're just showing up.
Now here's
you 5 Mac Pro 1,1.
Here's the thing. I may have to change my quack to an EAP because I just thought of this because I did buy 4 of the same iPads. However, they're not. One was for me, one was for my wife, one was for my one each for my in-laws.
You're not convincing anybody but yourself because we've all been saying EAP for you for the past 5 minutes.
Is that a EAP or a quack?
Sure, you're just as sick as the rest of us.
Okay, that's the only thing that I've ever bought the same of at one time. So, but that was the newest iPad, the 7th gen iPad that I'm currently using right now. And only because, it was on sale at the time.
Stop making excuses, just say EAP.
But I mean, as I said at the beginning,
it's not
a silly
a bad
question,
thing
really.
if you did.
To ask a collector. I mean, I've been in a situation where I've had a computer and go, oh, that's great. And then one comes up, same computer, but slightly better condition, case looks a bit better, maybe, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll grab that,
Well, here's a twist. Like Morgan says, or Justin, I bought an MDD in 2003, sold it in 2005. Bought another one in 2019. Does that count?
Yes, that's the same. Yeah.
All right.
That's an EAP. That's an EAP.
Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Next one comes from Ed. Have you ever sold an item on eBay that arrived with a minor cosmetic damage, example caused from shipping, but otherwise fully functional, and had the buyer demanding a full refund instead of partial one as compensation?
I don't sell anything on eBay.
That's exactly why I do not sell on eBay, because you always get shafted.
I don't sell on eBay.
Look, the closest I had to that was a guy. It was an absurd sale. It was so stupid. So I've always just, when I've sold stuff on eBay, said I only sell to Australia. But anyhow, there is an island which is part of Australia. I can't even remember the name of it. That is like closer to Papua New Guinea than it is to Australia. And this person bought a laptop from me from that island, and the postage charge was obscenely expensive. It took like 2 months to arrive there because they don't have regular flights, regular posted flights. It just sits there and waits until there is a flight. And so it took about 2 months to get there. And then I eventually get a message from him saying, oh, it's not working properly. Okay, no worries. Well, I just said send it back and I'll give you a full refund with that. It's like, I'll give you a full refund, but I want it back. And I mean, it had been dropped. I mean, but with it taking 4 months round trip postage, it could have been dropped anywhere. I mean, it could have been, mishandled or who knows what. So, but that's probably about the closest I've ever got to it.
Well, mine was I sold an original iPad, the original, first generation iPad, because I sold. My in-laws had bought new ones, so I sold their old ones for them on eBay, and one of them went no problem at all. They got it, no problem. The second one, it got damaged in shipping, even though I bubble wrapped the crap out of this thing. When he got it, the power button was pushed in just a little bit. It was dinged in. The metal piece was dinged in just enough, and I was able to fix that when I got it, because basically I gave him a refund and he sent it back after. I gave him a refund after I received it back, because at that time I was like, no, I'm not gonna give you a refund until I get it back, like Bruce was saying. But I get it back, and the thing was still working. So I just, instead of reselling it again, I gave it to one of my grandkids. I was like, it's got a little, you can see the ding in right where the power switch was, but it's still, the power switch still worked. Everything still worked. There was no cracks on the screen, nothing, One little blemish, and he wanted a full refund. I was like, no. You send it back.
I refuse to sell on eBay because the seller always gets shafted. And if I have something to sell, I will offer it to you guys on Mac Yak first in the chat. Then I'll put it on Discord. If that doesn't, if no one wants it there, I'll put it on Facebook Marketplace, and if no one wants it there, I'll keep it or toss it. There's no way I'm putting it on eBay. And I know that, yes, there's a much wider audience selling on eBay, but the risks are just not worth it.
So how many of those keyboards do you still have left then, Jay?
About 50. I haven't put any up for sale in a few years.
I was going to say, because I think I was the last ones that probably bought from you, right?
The problem is that everybody wanted to buy them cleaned. So yes, I make a few extra bucks because I have to spend the time cleaning them. But I hate cleaning them, so I just stopped selling them. Like, if you
hey, I bought them dirty from you. I cleaned them myself. I'm not lazy.
Sell GT your dirty crap.
So this reminds me of something else we saw this week, but let's go ahead and do the last quack.
All right.
I just want to say the only time I sell something on eBay, I say as is in like big bold letters and say I will not no returns are accepted. It's as is, blah blah. I haven't had a problem. I'm not saying that solves it. I'm just saying that's in the rare chance I do that, I just plaster that all over.
Don't you take a hit on the value though if you put as is?
Nope. I bought a $2 VoIP thing from Goodwill and sold it for $200. I said, here's a picture of it on. It seems to work, but no returns as is. I got my money, so I was happy.
There you go.
Cool.
All right. Last eep/quack. And this one doesn't have a name on it.
That's from me.
Oh, is it from
you?
This
was Steve.
I'll let Steve read it then.
Have you ever bought a piece of vintage computer gear only to realize you already had it and had totally forgotten that you already had the darn thing? Eep, eep, eep.
Yeah.
Bought a piece of vintage computer gear only to realize you already had it.
Yep, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to say quack on that right now because I can't think of anything that I bought.
Because you forgot that you already bought it.
When this happens to me, it's usually RAM. I'll go and buy a RAM upgrade for something and then just not put it in for a while, and it gets shuffled away somewhere, and then I go back to the project and I'm like, I'll just order a RAM upgrade for it.
This is exactly the reason I'm sitting on 3 or 4 Global Village USB modems right now.
I got a bunch of those too. Yeah,
I thought so too. And Trina's lying.
I quack too, because
Justin, Ricardo, Ed, come on.
Bunch of liars we got.
Come on. Yep, liars. All of them.
All right. So, what did you want to say there, Dana, before we go on?
Yeah. So the point about the eBay selling kind of brought up. It just reminded me of a post that we saw this week. It was either on Low End Mac or it was on Vintage Apple Macintosh Enthusiast.
Yes, I think I know what you're talking
on
about.
Facebook.
It was the latter.
Okay.
I know what he's talking about.
There was a guy who had a Macintosh TV shipped to him, and it arrived in about as many pieces as there are asteroids in the asteroid belt. I think the only thing that was still intact was the CRT, but it just kills me, especially with that model, because they're so rare already. If you are looking for an LC 500 series, a Performa 500 series, or a Macintosh TV, don't ship it. I'm telling you, there are rare occasions when these things are shipped and they're undamaged. But I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, it's going to arrive in many pieces. And they are, especially the Macintosh TV, is rare enough already. And every time somebody has one of these 500 series LC or Performa shipped, there's another one lost. Because the only thing you can salvage are like the logic board, maybe the CRT, a few parts inside, but the case is toast, and there are no new cases to replace it with. These things are the spindler plastics. They are extremely brittle. The CRT is very heavy, and if you put it in a shipping box, any movement that takes, in the shipping process could be loading it onto a truck. It could be turbulence. It could be God knows what. Somebody maybe drops it. It's going to break because that CRT is very heavy and it's basically held inside that plastic shell. The plastic shell will not take that kind of abuse. Well, so, if you're going to get one of these things, I really highly suggest you do it locally or, willing to go drive and get it and bring it home carefully on the back seat of your car.
I think Dana's to the point here is that, and I commented in that group. I remember that picture on that, and I made a comment. And Dana said the same thing. Kind of is that the seller is just as responsible for the damage as the shipper. Because they should know better.
The buyer, yes. Because I used to blame the shippers almost all the time because I was like, we have to tell people you've got to ship these more carefully. But now it's to the point where you as a buyer have to be aware that if you want one of these things, don't ship it because it's going to get broken.
But I agree with you totally that the buyer shares a level of responsibility. But I think in particular with some of these collectors, they don't quite comprehend just how brittle we're talking. And I know I've told
they
this
might be new to it, etc.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I've told this example before, but I have an LC 580, rubbish computer, but I'm quite happy to have it. And I thought, look, you know what? I'm going to recap this analog board. So I went to go remove the case. It's one of the ones that has a slide-out logic board, but I went to go remove the case to then slide out the, sort of the analog board. And when I went to just undo one of the screws, the hole that the screw screws into snapped off the bezel. Mm-hmm. That's me being super careful with the thing sitting on my dining room table. I mean, can you imagine what would happen to that bouncing around in a box, no matter how much padding you put on there?
Right.
It's just going to fall apart.
And I think
somebody on that post.
Oh, go ahead, Dana.
I was just going to say, somebody on that post said, well, if you wrap it with a couple layers of bubble wrap.
Yeah, I saw that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. You can wrap it with 50 layers of bubble wrap. It's not going to be fine.
Look, I picked up my 575 when I moved, and it started falling apart for crying out.
I'm a witness. We carefully put that into the back of Mike's truck, and he literally drove like 600 feet.
And the front bezel just broke off.
That's what people don't understand.
The computer that sat in the bed of my truck for like 3 weeks after I picked it up from the recycling place that I got it from, and we go to move it, and right there, it just breaks. I mean, that's these things.
I remember doing a double take. I'm like, wait.
I look at it this way: if you're dumb enough to have it shipped, then you get what you get.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for Apple TV or a Macintosh TV because, like you guys said, those things are like, oh my god! I think they only made like 400 or 500 of them.
Yeah, like 10,000 or something.
Macintosh TV, they made 10,000, but most of them are gone.
Yeah, but
like Bruce and Dana just said, people don't understand that it's not about the exterior packaging. You can surround it with 10 feet of styrofoam that it's sitting snug. It's the weight from inside the computer that crushes it.
Yep.
It's like putting a steel ball bearing inside an eggshell. It's going to destroy it from the inside out.
Yep.
So no amount of padding is going to work here.
You can even put foam in there, that spray foam that people have been talking about, and it's still.
That's actually worse because it's super rigid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't care about any of this beige or antique stuff, but even for me, it hurts when I see those pictures online. Like,
if you use that spray foam and it has that much room to move, that's enough because that CRT weighs, 30, 40 pounds, 30 pounds. Any momentum that it gets, it's going to just destroy that plastic from the inside out. They're not broken from the outside in. They break from the inside out.
So with all this in mind, Dana is launching a new service where he will pick up whatever Mac you want to buy and deliver it to you personally.
No, my service is if you order one and it gets shattered because you had it shipped, I come and beat you up.
That's Dana doing stuff right. I think if you encase those in jelly, they would still just fall apart.
Yeah. And I remember the author of the post said, well, I've shipped these, 4 or 5 times to Australia and nothing ever happened. I'm like, really? I mean, like I said, it's possible.
Maybe 10 years ago.
It's possible if you mark it fragile on every square inch of the thing, and people baby it.
The post office doesn't see fragile anymore.
No,
I'm sorry, but they don't even know what that word means.
If you can find a courier or a shipping company or somebody who's going to actually take that seriously, then it's minutely possible for it to make it there and not get completely destroyed.
If you took it apart, which you can't even do without it shattering. If you took it apart and shipped it piece by piece, you'd have a better chance of it surviving.
And I am not endorsing shipping these things. But if you must, there's no way around it. You live on the moon. There's no way to go pick it up. Hire a professional moving company.
And get it insured.
Not any of the couriers like FedEx, UPS, USPS. A professional moving company. It's still not going to survive. They will do better than the couriers. And if you ship anything actually fragile through USPS or FedEx, put a sticker on it that says glass, because they are very scared of anything that says glass. If you put fragile on it, they don't care. They'll play soccer with it on their lunch break. But if you put a glass sticker on there, they actually go like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
This might
Anybody ever see those old Samsonite commercials with the gorilla? That's what they see fragile. They see fragile like, oh, we're going to put it in a cage with the gorilla here.
I always think of Ace Ventura when he's got that pack. Clear a path, people! And like kicks it up onto the porch.
If I ever move, I'm going to have to just take a lot of trips with one Mac in my passenger seat.
Yeah, there you go.
Quick off topic here. David just arrived before the show is over. And I want to just say congratulations to David. Last I checked, he was in the 700-something subscribers. So
awesome.
Well done, David.
That is awesome.
Yeah, he must be doing something right.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you modify a cube with a tasteful LED mod instead of RGB. You get a bunch of subscribers, you know.
Yeah, except for the fact that the guy with the RGB cube has more subscribers than all of us combined.
Yeah, that is true.
Not the point.
Yeah, David did a cool video on how to get your Cube PSU to run a little less hot. So check that out and subscribe if you have not.
Ouch!
Oh yeah, it's like ouch. Shots fired.
And David's been nice enough to help me out with my Cube too, because I feel bad. The poor guy keeps sending me stuff for my Cube. He just sent me a USB adapter so I can get sound out of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I think I'm going to start doing a little bit of modifications to mine too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No RGBJ, don't worry.
Yeah. All right, we got to go ahead and move on here to our next topic of the evening. Subscription model. Recently, Apple has probably going to be going to a subscription model for Final Cut Pro. What do we think about that?
That is the rumor.
Well,
I think this is going to be along the lines of like training videos and plugins and things. I don't think this is going to be the software unless it's 100% optional.
I don't know. Everything else that Apple's been doing lately has been a subscription model. So why wouldn't this be?
They've never done it with their software packages, their operating systems, their productivity suites, iMovie, iLife. Whenever they did that, I understand those were in the past. If they start doing it with Final Cut Pro, it's gonna trickle down into every one of their products eventually. Now, I could foresee them doing something like these other services have, where you get tutorials and one-on-one support and plugins and title screens and all this stuff. Yeah. I could totally see them doing that. Or I could see them going an optional route where, hey, you pay for iCloud, you pay a little bit more, you get motion and compressor and all this stuff. I hope I'm not wrong, but I just cannot see them going to you got to pay us $30 a month now to use this software. Bye.
I don't. I think they're going to go that model because every other software, that's out there, is actually trying to transition to that model, and it's because guess what? The subscription model makes them a hell of a lot more money than one-time paid.
Yes, but the thing is, with other software companies, they just do software. Apple does a lot of hardware.
I understand that.
Wait, let me finish. Apple does a lot of hardware here. It's not their only revenue stream. So it makes sense for Adobe to do that because Adobe was bleeding because they charged too much for their product. Nobody's buying it. Now with the subscription, it sort of dilutes a lot of the people who were just, I'll just pay, whatever for it. But with Apple, I think it's a little bit different. Again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I have a feeling that there's more to this than that rumor suggests.
But you got to remember, though, today's Apple, and we've talked about this before in the past, is all about making money now. It's basically they don't care if the product actually works properly.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
Look, there's only one thing that I would say, could be, sort of a killer for that, and that is that things like DaVinci Resolve, which are out there, and you can even get free versions of DaVinci Resolve. If I was forced into a subscription model for Final Cut, I would be jumping ship like that.
Yeah.
So, I suspect it probably won't happen. I would pay for it if they brought Aperture back.
Yep.
Yeah, if they go subscription model, I'll never pay for another update again.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat because Apple has done this before, like what Bruce mentioned, Aperture, where people bought into it, and all of a sudden, we're not going to support it anymore.
No, I agree with you on that part, but what I'm saying, though, is that don't put it past Apple to do this because...
Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying I hope they don't do it.
Yeah, well, I'm being the optimist here, saying that, they're probably going to do it,
That's more of a pessimist.
Pessimist, okay,
yeah. I think it's a slippery slope once they start doing that. Next is going to be OS releases.
Well, their OS is free,
Final Cut Pro is like
for now
flagship software. Final Cut Pro is their flagship. That's the big moneymaker as far as it's probably the leading software title, and I'm not including OS 10 or whatever it is now. So, and Final Cut Pro it's kind of like Adobe Creative Suite, where you've got a lot of different, components that can be kind of added in. When you get a subscribe to Adobe Creative Cloud, I guess it's called now, you get free clip art, you get all kinds of tutorials. That's not just you're getting the software and they say, hey, you can use the software now. There is a lot of really cool stuff that comes with that, and I can see them for Final Cut Pro putting something together like that. Yeah. I don't know if they will, but it kind of has that same. Is community the right word? It's kind of like there are so many different filters and sound effects and things like that they can offer for free. You pay your subscription and you get all this other extra stuff, whereas right now you have to pay for a lot of it. So I don't know. I can see them doing it. Again, I think I kind of hope not, but it's worked for Adobe, so who knows?
I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if they'd offer it both ways. Get a basic version of Final Cut Pro for one price, and then if you want the subscription model, then go for it. Yeah, I'm not going to pay X dollars a month just to have Final Cut Pro, and there's tons of free plugins and stuff for Final Cut Pro all over the place if you look hard enough. And I don't use it enough to justify spending that kind of money anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see them doing something with iCloud and integrating extra stuff and doing it as an option. Something in me tells me that they're not going to, and I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but I just hope that there's going to be an option to purchase it.
Yeah. What was Apple's last paid operating system?
That was
Leopard.
No, Leopard.
No, I thought
Lion was $20.
Yeah,
Lion, 1999.
Because Mountain Lion was the first free one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I remember
that's you bring up a good point, GT. So if everybody purchases Final Cut, so that app store of updates and everything that you begin free updates because you paid the $300 for the app or whatever it is, what happens now? Well, after the next version, you gotta pay up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. That's the like you just said, the slippery slope of going to subscription is that once you go down that rabbit hole, it's hard to get back out of it.
Yeah, but like Justin is saying, if they bundled it all, like if they bundled Motion and Compressor and Logic Pro or whatever, like those are apps that are expensive to buy individually. Yeah. Now, if they made a deal and said, "Look, you're paying $100 or $50, whatever you're paying a monthly fee. It has to be, in line with making Apple money still.
Yeah.
I mean, in the longer game, Apple's going to make more money, but it really depends, I guess, on your usage. But I don't see those apps as much as, like, Photoshop. I could see, okay, yeah, I need this for like a year. I'll subscribe to it. People that buy Final Cut Pro and stuff, they're into that ecosystem of plugins and everything. I don't see that. I don't know. It's whatever.
So I'm looking at my Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, and I pay, I think it's something like $50-some a month for the entire thing.
Yeah,
but if you think about that, if you bought the yearly upgrade, you were spending like $1,200.
Yeah.
Those
upgrades
were
cheap.
Back in the day, you could get an upgrade for less than $1,000. But once, I think after OS 10 came out, I think they started raising it higher and higher. So I'm just looking here. I have 14 applications installed, and there are still 12 that I can install, and these are big names like Dimension, Lightroom Classic, Premiere. I mean, so it's not a bad deal. It's $50 a month. I happen to make enough, at my side job here to cover it.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal if you use it for business.
Right.
For me, as an individual that just makes overlays for Mac Yak, definitely not worth it.
Mm-hmm. And there are, open source alternatives to a lot of these programs.
Yeah, it's not like we're making that much money a month on Mac Yak right now. So,
hey, Adobe subscriptions for everybody.
Everybody super chat.
And by the way, there's 34 people watching, and we got 16 likes. That is sad.
Oh, that is a sad ratio. Yeah.
Why are we here?
All right, guys, we're going to move on here. For our last topic of the evening here is MARCHintosh. So I'm going to throw this over to Steve and let him talk a little bit more about this. Because that's that beige stuff again,
Yeah.
We're the only people around that like it. But, you've heard us tease it before. March is only a few days away here. And so the MARCHintosh event will be beginning soon. So use that hashtag MARCHintosh. Go to marchintosh.com. Find out all about it. Essentially, this was an initiative started in the same veins of Septandy and Dustember by Ron and Joe. They each have their respective Twitters and emails and YouTube links on the MARCHintosh page there. And thank you very much, Sean. Eep. And so MARCHintosh is going to be really cool. Again, anybody could do this. The whole idea is to spread awareness and make content about these vintage Macs. So anything before OS 10 is pretty much game. There's do's and don'ts on the website. So again, check out the website. Don't forget to tag your stuff with hashtag MARCHintosh. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I've been talking to some people in the Discord channel about what I'm doing. I talked to, I had my own little podcast thing where I talked to somebody and we were talking about what we were doing. So I suggest everybody go into the MARCHintosh Discord channel, talk about what you're doing, and maybe even collaborate with somebody. If I'm working on a PowerBook 160, I'm working on a PowerBook 160. Well, maybe you could swap notes or whatever. Have a good time. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and there's so much that could be covered here. I think it will really spread awareness for these old Macs. So I think and so much positivity can come out of this, and really just show that these things, they still live on. It's not just, that's that slow computer that was in my classroom,
Well, I think a lot of us like to run the old stuff. I mean, I do have I actually got an Apple II that I still got to get from you one of these days. Like I said, I got a monitor here that I'm holding hostage for it. So
yours is sitting nicely on the shelf.
Yours is sitting nicely over here by my Mac Pro, so it's safe. It's in its little box. So, and like Dana just said, send us some backgrounds. You guys are complaining about backgrounds. Send us some backgrounds.
Yeah, it's like, would you like it if we make a template available that allows anyone to make backgrounds for Mac Yak? Yes, do it.
We did it.
What's going on?
It's there.
They're letting their
and
juices flow.
We're talking about MARCHintosh. Use that as part of your inspiration to make it. for March.
Exactly.
Yep, there's a logo on their page.
Yeah.
You could,
We got
Tell
4
them
shows.
where the,
Four
template
shows
is.
in March.
yeah, so go to the style guide on the MARCHintosh page. You can get their logo, and go to the Mac Yak page. There's the instructions for getting your template there for the backgrounds.
Yep.
So there you go.
I'm
Simple
curious
as that.
to see what. Can you make a playlist on YouTube with other people's videos in it?
She can. Yeah.
It would be nice to at the end of March to do a search and compile all the
8 billion
nice-
videos.
No, the good videos. Put them
like
all in a
the
playlist.
Mac Yak ones, of course. Maybe that
Yeah.
Mac 84 guy. I don't know about him, but
Yeah, he's a
I don't
little
know about
strange
that.
after you get to the 2-hour mark.
yeah,
Yeah, starts sounding like Arnold.
yeah. Maybe that Brankus Creations dude too. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He swears
last
too
I heard,
much. I don't like
he,
him.
he hasn't really spoken to people since he reached 10K subs. He got a little too the ego took over.
So Bruce posted he posted some screen grabs from that little event on his Facebook. And there's somebody asked or something like, "Why isn't there audio?" And Bruce just replied, "NSFW."
I replied on there says I saw it live.
Wait, where's this video?
there's no video,
it's,
just
it's still from video. I will put the video on there, but I have a little bit of work to do to
Bleep out.
to make it,
Just put yakety sax on it. That's all.
child friendly. Yes,
It's going to be a lot of beep 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 beep.
because the
so
thing
nice.
is that when it happened and
to-
it blew up and I freaked out. Once I disconnected the power and everything and it had stopped burning, I look up at the camera and I said, "Did you guys see that?"
And we're like, yes, we did, and we sent you screenshots.
Yeah.
It was
What
a
you need to
beautiful
do
moment.
is just take the offending words and replace it with Homer Simpson going, "Don't."
Yeah, like that was the point for me where I felt that Brankus Creations was finally worthy of my subscription, so I subscribed.
I think Bruce has enough bleeps in there that he could just overdub it to smash that like button.
But here's the thing: is us Mac Yackers actually got to hear the raw.
Yeah.
I will never be the same man again.
Yeah. We're like, oh, we're scarred.
We're live.
Now, whenever I plug in an old Mac, Bruce, you've given me something more to be afraid of: is tantalums exploding.
yeah, that's right. They were very
Yeah.
old tantalums. I will give them that.
Listen, I wasn't joking when I said you know exactly what went wrong. You know exactly how to recreate it. Especially now that you have a fancy iPhone 12 with super slow motion capabilities, wide angle lens.
Ooh.
You have to recreate it. Come on. Come on.
And
Make
Bruce
sure
is
the
like,
pigeons are watching that one.
Bruce is like, nope.
Come on.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Say. Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, that is.
That's an inside joke, guys. So yeah, we'll let that one go. All right. Since I already put the shameless self promotion up there, since we were talking about that. So anything else, guys, that you guys want to throw out there?
Yeah,
Nope.
Mike is hopefully going to stop by if there's not a blizzard again.
Well, I doubt that. It's been in the
I'm getting
60s.
tired of carrying
Jinx
this damn
it.
monitor in my car. I'll be there Saturday.
Don't jinx it, Greg, because the last time we were like, oh, it's going to be fine. And all of a sudden the rain turned to snow. And then Mike fell.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So I'm looking
I
at the
don't-
forecast, and it doesn't drop below 40 for the next 10 days. So I think we're
Yeah.
probably safe.
Yeah.
X.
I don't have any shameless self-promotion, but I have shameless other people's promotion. So I want to start off with Steve. Even though it's not my cup of tea, this new Apple Speak, I
Open
forgot
Talk.
the name of it. Open Talk, that one. It is quite cool.
thank
If you wanna
yeah.
just hang out and watch those streams, it's nice. And so far, it's been the same guest twice. I forgot his name.
James.
But it's been a ton of fun, even though I don't know what they're talking about half the time because that's like I said, I'm not about the beige stuff, but it's
You
pretty
notice-
cool.
you know
I had
Steve
a
hasn't
really
invited-
enjoyed.
Steve hasn't invited any of us on his show,
I
Just messing with you, Steve.
you just
But-
weren't the one invited, so you
I
don't
know. Exactly.
Oh,
Oh,
even I
damn.
got an invite.
Yeah.
But yeah, Open Talk, check it out. Undoubtedly, there's going to be more coming, but it's
The
cool.
schedule is
And
kind
the second shameless other people's promotion, and even though it's not ready for prime time, I want to throw it to Bruce here. Bruce has been neglecting all his friends, family, his wife, his cats, his chickens, everything, because he's busy 3D printing stuff. And so far, there are 3 items that are really interesting. And
Break is
I don't know.
exclusive.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not available yet, I believe. But we have that one, which is a battery for the... Which one?
Mac. The 128K, 512K, and Mac Plus.
Yes.
Ooh, because those are hard to find.
Show that again. Show it again.
So it's exactly the same size as the original battery, which is I think a 523 they called it, 4.5 volts. And this is a little holder that holds 3 LR44 or A76 1.5 volts. So you get your 4.5 volts out of 3 LR44s. I've been running something similar to this now for a couple of years, I think, and it's still holding over 3 volts. So this is something that I would think you would get probably 5+ years out of this. So, I mean, it's still batteries. It can still leak. So you still need to give it the same checking and everything like that. But as I say, that just goes in there in replace of the original battery. And that's something that I haven't quite worked out what I'm going to do with those yet. I mean, obviously, I can print them and sell them all ready to go because they need a little bit of metallic hardware to make them work. But of course, I need to deal with the US customer situation. I need to make sure it's cost effective and that sort of thing. So I may have someone volunteering to print these for me in the US.
Only you knew somebody.
If they ever get their 3D printer working properly.
Mine is working.
Yeah.
Mine is working.
True, this is true.
There is a second product that I wanted to point out real quick, and that involves RAM slot clippy thingies.
Oh yes. So that's the
That's a technical term.
the old things like Macintosh 2s and SE 30s, and that used to have these plastic RAM clips, and the little sides of them would snap off, and so I've created clips that if the sides have snapped off, you just slot them over the side and they hold the RAM upright. So that's
how cool is that? But there's another one.
Oh yeah. This is probably the best one.
There's actually another 2. Yeah. There's another 2, and that is I have replicated the shape of the legs of the Apple design keyboard and the Apple Keyboard 2. And interestingly enough, with the Apple Keyboard 2, this is something that I had to do myself. I got hold of a keyboard a long time ago that had Apple Keyboard 2. They're the ones that I really like them. I think they used to come with the old Classic, I think. I can't remember, but they were sort of sold as a fairly budget keyboard, but they're actually really nice to use. Yeah, and I had
some of them didn't even have color Apple logos on them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. And I have one with 2 feet that are snapped off. Now I don't know what happened, but one of them, the foot is gone. Yeah, and the other one, no, I bought it this way. And the other one, the foot is gone, and so are the little pins inside the keyboard that hold the foot in place. So what I've done is I've created a 3D version that has the holes for the pins to go in, but I've created a separate version that actually has pins on the foot. And then you just get a drill, and you can drill a little hole into the plastic of the keyboard, and you're essentially reversing it. So rather than the hole being in the foot and the pins being in the keyboard, the pins are now in the foot and the hole is in the keyboard. And it works really well. Now, okay, I realise you're drilling a hole in your keyboard, you may not want to do that. But if it's already got the pins snapped off it anyway, this is a way of actually making the foot usable. So I haven't worked out what I'm going to do with these in terms of making them available. At the moment, I've basically said to people, if you're interested in the STL files for these, to sort of just send me a message. But as to where I go with these in the future, I'm still figuring that out. But I will be continuing to do this for the good of the community.
But the reason that I took it upon myself to pour out Bruce's creations that way is because that's the whole reason I bought my own printer, but because it's a piece of crap, I haven't been able to do so yet, is to make replacement parts for our hardware. which I think is really awesome, and it's going to keep these things around for a lot longer.
Especially
and the
when
last
we had
shameless other person promotion I want to do is for Justin. He is it's his birthday on Saturday.
Woo!
Birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Yep. And that's it for me. I'm not
mail
going
you
to
a
my
cake.
office. I'm not doing anything.
But I want to go back to Bruce's little foot that he made on there, and the only reason why he started on the foot for that is because of a certain post. And Madeline would love this one is because
Tell them the backstory.
Yeah, I got to tell them the backstory.
Someone was trying to sell someone a replacement foot, and then someone suggested in the chat, why don't you just 3D print one? And this person said, I've looked, but there aren't any STL files available. And I thought to myself, I would rather spend the time making one. I didn't even need one, but I would rather spend the time making one than see someone sell this foot to someone else for an outrageous price.
And what is the name of this someone?
Could be anyone.
Well, the someone that said, why don't you 3D print one was me. But the other one started with a G too, but we won't go into there. We'll leave it at that.
So as long as that, I mean, look, I'm still trying to find filament that's a decent replacement color for it. In the meantime, I mean, I've got a grey that doesn't match, and I've got a white that doesn't match. But I would much rather the keyboard's feet working and being mismatched than not working. So.
And also they're under the keyboard, so you're not really going to see it.
No, that's right.
Yeah, Data typed it in the chat there. he just doesn't
And
care.
just because I think it's
He's already
hilarious.
blocked me.
It's a
so
good thing Madeline isn't here anymore. She'd be triggered.
She'd be like, ah! You just triggered Madeline. She's going to delete you off of the Facebook or the webpage there.
Jay's
Dana.
going to be like, why can't I access my webpage?
She just got a
So
notification.
Mac Yak isn't even done yet, and Trina's already. Will you be streaming tonight, Steve?
No, I have videos to edit, so sorry. I'm going to be doing enough streaming on Saturday for everybody. So
Yeah. All right, guys.
Mike will be up for 8 hours straight.
If that's about it, we're going to go ahead and start shutting this thing down here. So, guys, we do have a Discord server. The Discord link is actually up on the screen right now. Go and check us out. We have a whole lot of different topics we talk about on there. A whole bunch of different things. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that little bell notification icon. We only do this once a week, so you're only going to get one notification a week.
Hey.
And thank you,
Thank you,
Justin.
Justin?
We appreciate that.
Wait, it's his birthday, and he's giving us money. I think
Yes.
We have to ship that cake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon. Also, like Jay said, we got 31 viewers and only 25 likes. We need to get them likes up there. So,
No, they just dropped a few.
yeah, they just dropped to 27 now. So,
now
yeah.
they match up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure
And
you
we
hit
have
that.
a website that is under active development once again. So check that out too.
Yes,
Have we
it's-
ever talked about how important it is for the like button and the sharing and all that stuff? I mean, that is literally how YouTube works.
Isn't that a given on YouTube though? Everybody knows.
Most people don't even
Sure.
think about it. How many times you watch a video and you say, "Oh, that was pretty cool," but then you never click the like button? It actually
I'm
helps.
not that inconsiderate.
It helps with analytics. It helps YouTube see that you're getting traffic. It's actually a very important thing to do. And if you're frequenting a channel, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't get any spam. Well, unless you choose to. Yeah, it's just that's just how the system works, and it really helps creators when you do that.
Yep. And it helps us out big time. I mean, we appreciate all you guys watching us every week. We've been doing this for over 2 years now, so we very much appreciate this, guys.
Look what it did to me. I'm getting gray hairs everywhere.
All right. We're definitely going to have to go ahead and start shutting this down. And, guys, It's been fun, and we will see you guys next week. So,
Adios.
bye.
Bye-bye.